What is up, everyone? My name is Alex, aka Doer, and you have now tuned in to Doers Take Breaks, where we invite one guest and talk all things MMA. Today, I have the pleasure of sitting down with Damian from the UFC Card Talk channel. Damian, what up?
Man, I'm very excited. Always excited to talk anything MMA and especially cards. So as soon as I got the invite for this, I was ready and always excited to do this. So
I
ready to
love
get
it.
into it.
I love it. I love it. All right. So, where I want to start today is why don't you tell me about how you got into MMA, the sport, watching it, whether you do a little bit of it as well. Let us know what revealed the sport to you.
Well, it all started when I was very young. To be fair, I've always been interested in martial arts. Growing up, my favorite movies were like the Karate Kid movies, Three Little Ninjas, Ninja Turtles. I loved everything to do with martial arts and
I
fighting when I
love
was
it.
very, very young. And then probably around the age of 18, 19, I was randomly at a friend's place and he had a DVD of a very, very early UFC event. It was that early. It was when they actually used to do it outdoors during the daytime. So it was still
Yeah.
in an arena type cage, but it was, as I said, which actual UFC event it was, I wouldn't be able to tell you, but it was very, very early on. And as soon as I saw that, it was like I couldn't believe it was real. I couldn't believe this was an actual real thing. And after that, we were hooked. Every weekend after that, there was me and two of my very good friends at the time. We would just go to the DVD store, hire out DVDs, and then after that, we would go into our own backyards and just beat the crap out of each other. So we
How
were
long
hooked.
was it before you had a fighter that was your favorite?
Ooh, probably within 12 months. Once we sort of had watched all the DVDs at the shop, then we turned to the pay-per-views, and this is back when Anderson Silva, Tito Ortiz,
Hmm.
Chuck Liddell, Boris Griffin, um, Rich Franklin. Probably that's when they were all in their prime, and it didn't take me long. I was hooked by Tito Ortiz's trash talk. I just found his whole confidence thing, the way that he talked trash before, and then he normally handled business inside the cage too. So he was my favorite fighter from the
Until
start.
until Iceman came around.
Yeah.
So you didn't mention one film, which I think is an insult to the MMA community, but I think maybe it just slipped your mind. Bloodsport, was that one of the ones that you caught as well?
Yeah, definitely, of course.
Okay,
John
okay.
Claude Van Damme, yeah, him, Jackie Chan, all the '90s action like martial arts heroes. I've watched them all, so I've seen
Awesome,
Bloodsport
awesome.
for sure.
Now, tell me where the UFC cards come into play then.
So the UFC cards, I mean, we're going back all the way to 2007, 2008 when I first got into watching MMA. The MMA cards came a very, very long time after, and it was just through lack of chance, really. So we're going to the start of 2022 now.
Mhm.
To give you the short version of the story, I just was obviously getting in my early 30s. I was getting hit by nostalgia, and it all started first. I was the only thing I ever collected growing up in Australia. Trading cards, especially sport trading cards, are not that popular. There was some rugby cards. I think they even had some cricket cards. And my brother of us both, he was more the card collector when we were young. He had a few basketball type cards. We both had Pokemon. So anyway, back to early 2022, I just had this hit of nostalgia, and I was like, how cool it would be to find a packet of Pokemon cards to open up and rip and just sort of get that nostalgic feeling of being a card of being a kid again. I had
Wow.
a very distinct sort of memories of what the cards smelt like as soon as you opened a pack.
Yeah.
And doing my research into actually trying to find a packet of Pokemon cards, I come across basketball cards, football cards, American sports, and I sort of hit me. I'd always loved the UFC. I was like, I wonder if UFC have cards. So shortly enough, after a quick Google search, I found out that 2021 Prism was a thing, and I remember seeing the first ever box online, and it said debut Prism, and my silly self
You
thought
thought
that 2021 debut Prism was actually the first year of UFC cards. So
I can see
I
I can
forked
see
out.
that happening.
I had no idea they existed, and once I found out they existed, that was it. That was it for me. I was literally obsessed. I tried to do everything I could to learn about the cards themselves.
I mean, you kind of touched on it now, so why don't you tell us a little bit more how many maybe of these, but like those type of newbie errors that you might have had. So you thought the debut one was, the first of its kind, but also maybe were you going heavy on a type of card, not knowing that maybe the better one was to go with another product, an earlier, like Topps product before Panini. Why don't you tell us some of the early mistakes you made along the way?
Well, my first early mistake was to do with seeing that 2021 Prism box. I saw it online. I live here in Europe, as a lot of my viewers know. So access to cards is not easy. And as soon as I saw, oh, this is the first ever year of Prism sports cards. This is awesome. This is something I need a box of to buy, and not to open at the time. I need to buy a box of this and hold it. So I paid $400 US approximately for a retail box of 2021 Prism, thinking
Yeah,
that was going to be liquid gold in 20 years' time.
yeah,
And then after that, I just jumped on YouTube and I typed in UFC sports cards. And if you remember anything about 2021, 2022, the only thing that would come up if you typed in sports cards was stuff from the Sports Card Investor. Gary Vee had a few videos out, along with a few other content creators that was more geared around buying cards to sell onwards to make money. So
yeah,
I just literally got obsessed with watching that type of content. Unfortunately, though, I learned pretty quickly that all of those things that go along with basketball, football cards, baseball cards, they're not at all applicable to FC cards. And
yeah,
yes, as most people do, obviously, what is new when you jump on eBay and type in UFC cards, it's mostly the Panini's products
yeah.
that were released at the time. So I had no idea until probably about 6 months in, I realized that Topps cards even existed before Panini. So definitely was some mistakes made thinking that I was buying all these cool cards that turned out to be not so cool after learning about Topps. So
Yeah, we live and we learn. Why don't you talk to me about some of your PCs, whether that's one primarily or a handful of them? Feel free to name, any of those that come to mind.
my PCs, as I think it does for everyone, when I first got into finding out UFC cards, it's no secret I've got Team O'Malley's shirt written across here. This is actually a custom shirt that I had made for myself, sadly enough. But Sean O'Malley, he has been an athlete that I've followed very, very closely since 2018. I watched his second ever fight in the UFC against Andre Sukentov. And since then, I was just hooked on him as an athlete. I sort of was one of those people who was a little bit obsessed with Connor. Obviously, Connor was very quiet 2017, 2018. So I sort of my fandom jumped from Connor over to Sean. There was obviously not a lot of similarities, but I could see what was sort of happening. And I
Yeah,
jumped on, watched every video there was of him on YouTube, and just sort of became a fan of him as a person and his personality. So from there, he was my number one PC and still is, just because of
yeah,
my connection that I've had with him, following him since very early on in his career. Obviously, watching him win the title last year was something which is special for me as a sports fan and in general. And then after that, as I said, when I first got into cards, I realized I wanted to have a connection with the fighters who I was PCing. So whether it was my favorite fighter at the time or whether it was a fighter who I remembered a fight that I thought
hmm
fondly of, so I wanted to start buying their cards instead. And then it took me a few months to realize, I'm just trying to find connections with this fighter in order to buy their
You're making up an
cards.
excuse to have a connection and
I was,
purchase it.
yeah. So it went from when I first started, fighters like Kevin Holland, Anthony Smith, a lot of my favorite, Brandon Moreno, they were all my favorite fighters at the time, and are still fighters who I like to watch and enjoy, but not so much, as I said, need to go
Yeah,
out and buy a lot of their cards off these days. But these days, my three fighters who I PC like continuously are Sean O'Malley, first and foremost. Pretty close second these days is Max Holloway, and then a
Holloway.
retired fighter in Yoshihiro Akiyama is my
Oh,
third
okay.
PC guy.
How did the third one make that list? That's the only one that really stands out between O'Malley and Holloway.
So that is another bit of a strange story, but Yoshihiro, he was in I think it was a Korean game show. It was last year. It aired on Netflix, and I just randomly watched this Korean game show, and it was very apparent from the very early moments. Just the mannerisms of how he carried himself was very respectful, which I enjoy somebody who was like that. And not only that, you could tell he was obviously he's a professional fighter, so they sort of carry an aura about them. But he had a lot of just personal mannerisms, the way that he had facial expressions and the way that he conducted himself on this show. He actually reminded me a lot of one of my good friends from back in Australia. Just, as I said, it's something that's hard to explain, but it's just a personal thing. And the way that, as I said, the mannerisms of him and how much it reminded me of one of my very good friends. Straight away, I was like, has Yoshihiro got cards? I knew he'd fought in one championship. And then a quick Google search told me he fought in UFC and did have cards dating back from 2010 onwards. So from then I just started jumping onto his cards. And he's one of those fighters who I think it's fun to have a cheaper guy who you PC who can pick up some really, really cool cards that you probably can't afford for the more popular guys, but you can afford their cards because they're lesser known, lesser popular, and they're only and they're special to you. So that's definitely a very cool thing if anyone could ever find a fighter who's lesser known, lesser popular, because you can definitely pick up some of their really cool cards for really cheap prices.
I love it. And one thing that I remembered as you were speaking was you had mentioned when you Googled sport cards, rugby had also come along, and then it just made me think: did Volk ever make it to a professional level enough to have cards? Is that a thing? Have you ever?
No, he never made it to like the national professional level, which you would need in order to have sports cards made of you. But yeah, I believe he played on a more regional scene.
Okay, that would have been a fun card.
Yeah, that would have been very cool, actually, now looking back for sure.
Got it. All right, and before we pivot into our card segment, let me reset the room as well. One, Damian might have to step away at some moment in like the next 10 to 15, should his wife get home and the dogs start losing their mind. But also, there was somewhere I wanted to go before we did that. Oh, yes, you have a trip coming up to Miami, and why don't you tell us about that? What are you looking forward to the most, and how many days are you going to be in town?
So the whole trip in general is going to be 8 days in total. Sorry, and it's literally the one reason I'm traveling is to see Sean O'Malley fight live. It's one of those things where it's now or never, and I'm a big believer in you need to take opportunities when they come to your doorstep. So it's one of those bucket list items. As I said, it's hard for me to explain just because I've followed Sean since, like, not since the very, very, very beginning, but quite early on. And just, it's one of those things where I love the UFC obviously as well. And it's one of those things where I've got to do it as a bucket list item in my life. And this is the time. So it's going to be very expensive. It's only a shorter trip. Traveling to Miami here from Europe, and then I'll probably finish a trip higher up on the East Coast somewhere in the New York, Boston area, hoping to catch a Celtics game at the same time and check out some card shops, which I don't have the experience here. There's no card shops locally with me, so it's going to be a very, very fun trip. Make the most of it for the 9 days that I'm over there.
That's so cool. So real quick, when knowing that you're such a big fan of O'Malley, what was the sentiment or the reaction when he had that first Cheeto fight and the way that all, unraveled?
When O'Malley fights, my eyes are glued to the TV, and I'm kind of proud of myself to know very early on after that leg kick, and obviously not to know it was nerve damage straight away, but I could just, because I've had watched Sean fight before, you could see it very early on. I still remember I was watching it, just me and one of my friends at the time, who we started watching UFC from the beginning together. We were watching the fight, and I said to him, there's something wrong with Sean. You could see he's just in his footwork wasn't as crisp and as smooth as what it normally is. You could see, I just knew there was something wrong with his ankle. Yeah. Sure enough, I think it was about another minute and a half, and he was down the canvas and getting TKO'd. So, it was very sad to watch, to be honest. And I had to sort of take a little bit of time to get over that loss, because that was his first and obviously only loss on his. And I know it's very, very popular and cool to have an undefeated record. So
not according to him, right? According to him, he's undefeated. So
what? I get what he means. I get what he means.
Too funny.
He lost to Cheeto's big toe.
All right, so now we're gonna jump into our segment called Rumble and Rips, where we're gonna rip through 2023 Optic hobby boxes. And in this case, I'm gonna let Damian choose which of these 4 boxes he wants, and then we're gonna use the rest to also just be a nice backdrop. All right, and so you let me know which of these 4 you would like to pick, and then the other 3 I'm just gonna put as a backdrop.
I'm a simple man, so I'm going to take the one on the top.
On the one on the top. All right, and that's actually the one that I had put there for you initially. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna let him choose though. All right, so we'll do this. Put the camera down a little bit further, and then we'll do this. All right, and so let me kind of tee you up and the folks at home. The idea behind this segment is, there's so many random fun stories that can come about that you would never get out of just me asking questions during like an interview. But if a card comes out, a fighter, and it makes you think about where you were when you watched that fighter and that fight, or a fun story of someone you maybe met randomly, that's kind of the idea of doing this segment as well. But the benefit for the viewers is we have plans to give these cards away. Me and Damian connected before this, and we said the only 2 cards off limit are 2 of his PCs, which is going to be Sean O'Malley and Max Holloway. Everything else, no matter how good or bad it is, we will be giving that away, and he'll give more information on that. Damian, do you want to do that here, or do you want to tee that up later once you have the idea fully flushed out?
No, I think we'll make the people wait. We'll make them sweat
I
on
love
it.
it.
So
I
we'll
love it.
announce how the people can win these cards at the end of the rip.
Perfect. All right, so you guys know the drill. 20 packs in here. We will go through them somewhat fast because we don't have to talk on every fighter that's in here, but I'll let Damian kind of stop me. If there's anything that comes to my mind, I will make sure to touch on that as well. All right. And then I'll be mindful of any delay that you have on your end, Damian. It looks like we already maybe have something in the back. All right, so Gilbert Burns. Yair Rodriguez. I watched him against Volk during International Fight Week. That was a fun fight.
Him versus Max was a great fight as well.
Yeah, that was a good fight. Yeah. Bo Nickel, who I'm not understanding the prices we see for him. Yeah, go for it, David.
What do you think about Bo in general? Do you think he's got what it takes?
I like him. I don't know that I've seen enough and how he's going to look. It's always hard to assess how a fighter is going to do when he hasn't fought the type of talent that lives within like the top 5, top 10, right? Because no matter how great he looks, there's levels to it. And you start to see some of that even with like what happened this past weekend, right? With Volk and Ilya. Like a lot of people weren't giving Ilya credit just because they weren't really sure if he could step up to that next level of competition. So for Bo, I'm excited. I'm always a fan of the UFC being able to create superstars based off of them being able to step up to the plate and do well. So I'm always rooting for most of these guys. What are your thoughts on Bo Nickel?
Yeah, exactly same thing. I think he's great for the sport. He's great for the hobby, but definitely untested yet. So hopefully for the sport and for the hobby, he keeps kicking goals and getting through the ranked opponents all the way to the top. It's going to be fun to watch.
He's scheduled already, right? He's on UFC 300. If I'm not mistaken,
300,
right? Yeah. All right, look, what do we got back here? It is it's a lightweight. And that's a nice card. I'm a big fan of Arman Tsarukyan. Mm-hmm. I think he has a lot of potential too.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Charlie Olives. Yeah, he's as I said, I think it's going to be a great fight between him and Charles Oliveira, and I think they are easily the top 3 in the lightweight division at the moment.
Yeah.
I know a lot of Poirier and probably Chandler fans are going to be not happy with that, but he's definitely the future lightweight division. But is he good enough to beat Islam or Charles Oliveira is yet to be seen, but he's definitely looked good so far.
Yeah, that's a really nice card. All right, let's keep going. Who do you got in that, Arman Tsarukyan or Charles?
You can't back against Charles Oliveira. I don't think he always does something special when I think people are against him. So
yeah, I had Dustin against him and I had Justin against him, and you saw how that went. Mateus Gamrot, Michael Chandler, who's been sidelined for way too long.
He's appearing in WWE these days, I saw.
Yeah, you saw that? I saw some people's take on that being like, welcome to the TKO era, and like it rubbed them the wrong way that now you have UFC fighters at these events using that type of a platform to do that. Now, I see you're on mute, so maybe the dogs are barking. If you need to run, go for it. I could pause here real quick while you do that and actually get my top loaders and some of the other materials I need. Feel free to do that. No worries. And we're not going to cut this, folks. We want this to be all organic. Let's see. We do have a hit back here too, though. So I'm curious to see what we get. All right. So we got that. And let's get this. Let's see what we get. First, let us take care of Armin Sarukian. This is a 5 out of 79. This is a really, really nice card. I'm excited to see who's going to take this home. If you're not a fan yet, you might be after that Charles fight. He just finished coming off a really, really good performance against Benio. Benio's never been finished the way that Armin did, so keep an eye on him if you aren't already. All right, so that's going to be one of our hits to highlight at the end. Let me see. Yeah, back here we have something blue. We will see what we get. Let me move this out of the way now. If you aren't already and you like this type of content, you know what to do. Make sure to subscribe. I release content like this on a weekly basis for MMA enthusiasts. So it's this type of content, interviewing folks on the street, just fun content around what's happening at press conferences or other interviews or other engagement that fighters have on social media. So definitely, if you like that type of content, this is your place. All right, Damian, we're back.
Yeah, no, I can only agree with what you just said. I think you're obviously getting started in the space, but you're making big waves already, so it's really cool. So people need to hit the subscribe button for sure.
I appreciate that, sir. All right, so we have a hit back here. Did you have any thoughts on Michael Chandler?
It's gonna be fun. I hope he gets the Conor fight. I hope for his sake he gets the Conor fight because he's definitely wasting his career waiting on it. But
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right, let's see what we got back here. We have a middleweight.
Rated rookie.
And Chidi autograph. Not bad.
Not bad at all. Is that they're numbered? Are they? Is that number 2?
Yeah, this is number 2. This is a
49?
7 out of 49. Any fighter that you're looking to hit beyond your PCs for your viewers.
Let's get a rated rookie for Bo Nickel for someone. I think.
All right.
A coloured rated rookie. Let's make some money. Let's make some money for someone.
Let's make some people some money. All right, here we go. When does Young come back? I don't know when he's scheduled to fight again.
He is scheduled. Is he fighting Rakic?
Is it?
No, Rakic
is. No,
oh,
no, Rakic is Jiri. Rakic is Jiri.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we'll have to look it up.
Scheduled then.
Look at that. What are the odds of that?
Packs a 1-1 at least. Yeah. I haven't seen that before. I've never seen that before.
All right. Let's see. We got a fan favorite, everyone's favorite.
He's got to be next for WWE. I can just see it now. He'll come out to the Colby You Suck music and to the Kurt Angle music. Everyone will be confused thinking it's Kurt Angle.
Yeah, they'll be like, what's going on? Do you think he takes that fight with Ian, or do you think that even if he doesn't want to, the UFC kind of forces his hand because of where he is in his record right now, in his career? You'd think no, huh?
No, I don't think so. I think Colby does what he wants to do, and I can't see him taking a fight against Gary. I mean, not to say it never would happen, but yeah. Well, I'll be surprised if it does, but we'll see.
Maybe
As I said, I
you
think
think, and
I
do you think that's because you think Ian needs a few more wins before Kobe is like, all right, now it makes sense, or you think he just doesn't want that fight? Period.
I just say, not to say he's scared of him or anything. I just think that you know what Colby's like. He acts like he doesn't even know who Shavkat, and I remember he
Yeah,
pretended he didn't know who Chimaev was in the
yeah,
beginning as well. So it's just part of his character. I actually, as I said, I think his next move is WWE. To be completely honest, but we'll see.
yeah. He can do well. He definitely can do well. All right, Tito Ortiz.
Speaking of the man.
Mm-hmm.
I loved him so much at the start. I remember I even bought. He had these Huntington Beach Bad Boy shirts that like for merch, and I bought one. I was living in Australia at the time, paid all the overseas shipping and everything. It was an expensive shirt, but that was how much I was sort of into the whole Tito
Yeah.
Ortiz thing at the time. And then as I said, literally 12 months later, I just grew out of him. I don't know what happened, but
I mean, it was I think he doesn't do well in front of a camera, right? He always like stumbles over his words and like every trash talk that he's ever tried to do, it never really goes that well. So I feel like that layered with Chuck just being who he became and how that worked out in that duel, it was tough. But I think, ultimately I know diehard MMA fans still respect Tito and what he did for the sport, but it is funny to
yeah,
see like a lot of the mashups you see online of Tito and him trying to go into politics and all that good stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Carlos Oberg, rated rookie,
Ooh,
and
City Kickboxing.
City Kickboxing. And then we got Zach's favorite, his breakfast cards. We have Jan, who's fighting Wei Lee. Is that at 300 as well?
That
Is
is
that
a
in your
300. Yep.
300,
Yep, it's a
right? Okay.
300. Yeah, the co-main event, I believe. Oh, no, sorry. Not that leads into Max versus Gaethje.
Gaethje. Okay.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
So
What
the
did you think
co-main
while I
event.
do this? What did you think of the main event being announced for 300?
To be honest, they could have named Khabib versus anything less than Khabib versus GSP was always going to be a letdown. The way that they sort of built it and then they fumbled it so long. Like I understand there's contractual problems and things
Yeah.
happen in real life, and it's hard to. But yeah, the way that they handled it was pretty poor. I think a lot of people feel like that, and then to have that as the main event, it really seems like they just maybe pushed that card forward. That could have been the main event for 301, for example, and they've just sort of
Yeah.
tried to bring it forward. I think they had a lot of big plans that obviously didn't work out, which is sad. Sad for
Yeah.
fans, but
Yeah.
we'll all still watch it anyway. So
Correct. Yeah, no, for sure. We'll still watch it, and I think it's still a great fight. I just don't think Jamal's name, unfortunately, draws for more of the casuals. Which I think, say what you will about casuals, but when you have a fight, the casuals are interested in it as well. It creates an extra like layer of excitement and buzz that through the engagement, through the impressions on social media, the way the UFC sees that they can push. I don't know that that's that card for me. I'm still going to enjoy it, but to your point, it felt very last minute, and Jamal confirmed that by saying that he had just been told about the fight the Friday before. If my sources are correct about him saying that, right? Like that's insane that he just found out a day before they announced that fight.
yeah,
So, and then you had kind of on the same topic, you had the Leon Edward. They had said that they gave him 3 fights and that all he was okay with any of those, and that all 3 opponents turned it down. And I think Ariel touched on who those 3 were, and that included Shafkat, I want to say Kamzat, and there was what was the other name that I was surprised. We'll get it and we'll put it on the screen. But yeah, I'll watch it, but it's definitely not the main event that people wanted.
yeah. I think for the true MMA fan, obviously Gaethje and Holloway is enough, and
Yeah,
that should be the main event. I'm a little bit sad. I know I'm a little bit biased because I'm such a big fan of Holloway, but the fact that the casuals aren't excited about Holloway versus Gaethje escapes me because that should be the fight that even the casuals are talking about because that's such a crazy fight. But
you're right. They should be, and I don't know. I don't know if that's due to the UFC not putting more of their marketing machine behind it. Because to your point, you would think there's some of that, But yeah, you're right. It hasn't created that much of a buzz outside of the hardcore MMA fan base who knows what the BMF belt, stands for and what it is.
Yeah. But no, Justin Gaethje, I mean, when was he ever in a boring fight? Never.
Yeah,
And that's why
yeah,
you'd think he would extend outside to even the casuals would know him. But I don't know I don't know where the lost connection is between Justin
yeah.
Gaethje and his performances and the casuals, because there's something missing there, because as I said, it makes no sense.
Yeah, maybe we'll see a bigger push for UFC 300, and we'll get a lot more of the casuals as we get closer to the event. But at the same time, you don't want to overshadow 299. The fight coming up this weekend with who is it? Moreno versus Rival, and then you have
Yeah.
Yair versus Rodrigo. No,
Ortega.
Yair versus Ortega. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe we will get a little bit more of that buzz in the coming weeks.
Yeah, we hope
Tom
so.
Aspinall. Saeed, got Derek Lewis, and look at that. You can never be
Ooh,
mad with a Alexander Volkanovski card. I'm still a big fan. This is numbered 191 out of 199. I would take that all day.
nice.
That's a really good card. Yeah, while
How
we're
did you
on
like
him, I
it?
mean, yeah, go
How
for
did you
it.
like the look of Optic comparatively to Optic 2023, which are opening now, comparatively to like the Optic of 2022? Did you like the designs better from this
Yeah,
last
yeah,
year, or?
I did, but for the most part, coming into the sport, having come into this sport of cards late 2023 actively, right? Even though I knew they were around since 21 and 22, I really got into my own collection until the end of last year. And having that be the case, I really started with just wanting numbered stuff. So I'm really comparing a lot of like all this stuff to 2022 optic, same thing, numbered stuff. So I actually like both evenly, but I haven't put too much attention to all like the base artwork, or those breakfast ones or the firework ones. Like I almost kind of run through those pretty quickly and set them to the side and have like things that I want to do with that as well. I have a whole case
Yeah,
full of them where at some point I want to give them away. But yeah, to answer your question, I like both. What I will say is I agree with your recent take on how the Topps product looks. Like even if it is numbered or not, I don't know that I would want any of that, like just from a pure artwork, point of view. I'm glad they gave me the chance to cancel my pre-order because I did actually. When
okay.
when the issue came out,
Mm.
I decided to just cancel it mainly because I was like, if we're right about the product not really landing with people, there might be the initial like wave of the price continue to go up, but then I think people are going to want to offload, and I'll come
Yeah.
in later or buy singles at that point.
Yeah, well, it all depends on what they plan on doing with other sets as well. Because we saw the same thing with Panini products. The first release was Prism, prices are sky high, and then
Mm-hmm.
another product comes out like Select, or we had Don Russell as well last year. So then once the newer release comes out, then you see gradually the prices fall for the previous release after that. So
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I speak
So I'm
about
just
FOMO
gonna.
a lot in my. I speak about
I,
a lot about FOMO in my content, and I think, yeah, even I need to take my own advice sometimes, but because it is hard.
well, you
But the
started already.
longer,
You started by removing your watch list, so that's one good step in the right direction of removing some layers
yeah,
of FOMO.
and as an update for that, that's been one of the best things I've ever done. Actually,
Really?
it's made a massive difference. I've stopped scrolling mindlessly. I was scrolling every night. It
Yeah.
started on my watch list. I would check through my watch list every night to see what's sold, what's still there, and then I would then obviously go into other searches as well from that. But I would
Yeah.
spend too much time scrolling in the evenings on my phone every night, and that's actually stopped. So I'm very, very happy about that
And
decision.
I'm the opposite. I have a lot on my watch list, but I don't scroll through my watch list. I let the notifications come up on like an auction or a price drop or an offer, but I'm really more trying to see what was newly listed that I might want to snipe if it's a buy now or offer or something for auction to be prepared for it. But yeah, if it hits my watch list, I'm sure there's so many things in there that I have no idea they're there until the auction's coming up.
Yeah,
Or until it says you missed it, right? Like you missed it and it got away from you.
yeah.
Crowd favorite. Ian Gary, also someone who we rep at Vayner Sports. So I got to show my guy some love, but I understand. I understand with the folks and how they feel about him. What did you think of his performance?
It was Jeff Neal is a tough fight for anyone. So it was a close fight. I saw, as you said on the Ariel's show just recently, he was a little bit confused as to why it wasn't 30-27. I think it was closer to 29-28. But yeah, it was. I was fine with him with the win. I think he did enough to get the win as well. And Jeff Neal's a step up for his competition as well compared to his previous fight. So to be fair, Ian Gary's going from strength to strength. So.
Yeah, I thought it was a smart performance, right? And I think a lot of fighters have that fight. It's like Izzy's fight against Yoel, right? He wasn't going to go in there and like put himself in harm. So it was like, bring the fight to me and I'll kind of move around. So I understand the type of performance people needed him to have in order to kind of wash away a lot of all the noise that's going on in the background, but this was not the guy to play around with, So
Yeah.
I'm happy that he took the W, and my heart was like just pumping the entire fight.
It's interesting to see how many people have jumped off his bandwagon in forms of in terms of the card market as well. A lot of people sort of trying to jump out of the Ian Gary market as well these days.
I feel that's interesting you say that, because I feel like his cards are still competitively priced and sought after based off the auctions I've tracked. Like though there's no activity on it leading into it, right? Like the way with most cards, but they always end up going for definitely above average on what every other UFC card goes for.
I think yeah, above average, but not where they were 12 months ago, for example.
Okay, yeah, and that's probably the context you have that I don't. Where were they 12 months ago, versus where they're at now? But how much of that is also just where the entire hobby is at? Ken Shamrock in our favorite outfit.
Yeah. Him and Tito had the best back and forths.
Yeah, that was fun. And then we have a rated rookie, Raul Rosas. Now, should I be airing these episodes in order? Folks are going to see that we hit an auto of this with Zach.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that was a nice card to hit. And then we have another Kobe. All right, let's keep going. Yeah, I gotta say my favorite aspect of Optic and this product in general is just how many packs you get. Like I know it's only 4 cards, but it makes it feel like you're going through a lot more than just getting like a blaster box or something.
Yeah, definitely. It feels like you're getting more for your money for sure.
Frank Beer, and we have something in the back. Let's save that real quick. A Holly Holm.
Load it up.
Okay. And then what do we got here? It's a bantamweight. It's another auto.
Oh, it's an autograph. These look cool this year. I liked them this year compared to last year.
Let's see if we can drop this slowly. That's a tough one to call. Not bad. Peter Yan. That's a nice one. I like it.
That is. That's a nice looking card, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see.
It's kind of weird though.
167 out of 199. Yep.
They've got his hands in the way of the autograph text.
So I will say that when you caught that detail, I don't mind that. I actually think that's pretty cool to me. Personally, I like how they're coming out of the border, and I've heard other people be like, "What the hell's the border for then?"
That's
I like that.
I like that they couldn't have cropped that picture and just sunk him down a little bit lower, so still have his hands in there, but maybe not his belly button. Cut his belly button out. And, that stuff grinds my gears.
You know what really grinds my gears?
I'll tell you that right now, Alex.
Is the term or the phrase "grinds my gears" something that you got from Family Guy? Because that's where I feel like I learned that.
No, it might be just a more Australian term, I think. But yeah, haven't used that one for a while, actually.
Yeah, no, that's something that I picked up from there. You want to know what really grinds my gears? All right, look who we got.
We got him. I'm happy with
We
that. I
got
got
him.
one card. See,
There you go.
what's something that's really cool for me? Like now I can have that card and I can tie it back to us
Yeah,
getting together and making this video. So that's what
that's
it's all
right.
about for me. It's very
That's
cool.
right. Robert Whitaker, I was so happy that he got
Such a
this
good
W.
fight.
It was
Such a
such a
good
good
fight.
fight, and I felt good about him winning. But Paulo Costa, that kick is exactly what I feared, right? Or a big punch, and knowing that Robert always gets loose knees in his fights, but finds a way to recover. So I was happy that he got that W.
I couldn't, it goes to show, I don't think Paulo Costa lost any stock in that fight because he is just as
No,
tough as they come. That front leg was beat up after the first 2 minutes of the fight. And the way he just walked forward the whole fight, I thought for sure he's going to get stopped because of this leg kick Steve's eaten. But as I said, to his credit, to his toughness, he just kept going forward and kept taking the fight. So that was my fight
that
of the night.
was
How that did not get fight of the night bonus was
yeah.
absolutely crazy.
Well, Dana said in the press, he's like,
After
I'll
someone
take
asked
care of
him,
them. Yeah, but I
after,
was
I think it
shocked.
was
I was shocked as well.
I think it was Oscar Willis from Mac Life who actually asked him, "Are you going to chuck him some extra money?" Then he was a little bit, "Oh yeah, okay, I'll look after him."
We got a rated rookie there that was numbered as well. Let me put this here. Let's see. What was this?
Who's
So
that?
it
Is
was
that Aaron?
72 out of 99, and this is Maria Godinez Gonzalez.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's not a bad one. We got some good hits so far.
The rated rookie in the blues, especially the blue parallels, matching with the rated rookie blue emblem, they look really cool as well.
Do you have any female fighters that you PC or are close to a PC of them?
Yeah, I've got a couple of Nunes cards. She's the greatest of all time, and I've watched all of her fights ever since she beat up Ronda Rousey. So I've got a lot of fond memories of watching Amanda Nunes just beat up some people. So I've got some cards of hers.
Mike Beltran. Is that the only I know Muhammad Mokayev. A lot of potential there as well.
Definitely.
So Amanda's the
PC.
only female?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a couple of Pena cards. They were more to buy in order to get graded and then sell, and because I believe that Pena will be in line for a bantamweight championship fight now that obviously Nunes is retired. So I do have a couple of her cards. They're not something that I would consider to be PC. They're more what I would consider to be inventory to sell onwards. So we'll see what happens with them.
Look at that. That's a Pena from an Immaculate. It's a 3 of 3. I really like just the way it looks. This is from
2023.
Yeah, 2023.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really just like the layout of this itself. So not necessarily someone that I thought I'd PC, but I don't mind having that in my collection. I would say Thug Rose and Valentina are the two that I'm trying to slowly have a nice little collection of,
Yeah. No, they're two of the more popular ones for sure, female fighters. And Joe made a great point actually when we had a talk a few videos back, and he said it's really cool that the UFC community embrace the female fighters as well when it comes to collecting cards.
Was the takeaway to try to get female collectors to embrace the cards?
No, what he meant was just the fact in general that even us card collectors, we embrace the female fighters, and a lot of the UFC collectors have female fighters as a part of their PCs. Comparing to other sports, I don't know how many
WNBA and things like that.
WNBA and same with the women's soccer. There's lots of people who probably collect the women's soccer for some of the big US names, but
yeah. Molly McCann, I missed her last fight where she won and did really well, and apparently won a lot of fans over again. But yeah, so I got to go back and watch that.
Yeah, she broke the poor girl's arm in the arm bar, so it's pretty nasty.
Who was she fighting?
Diana, I can't recall her last name, but her first name is Diana someone. But yeah,
that's rough. All right, we got Matt Serra, Corey, another VSP athlete we rep.
I don't want him to fight Sean. I'm worried about that
fight. That's going to be a fun fight. And another Tito. Well, Sean really wants that Ilya. How do you feel about that for him?
Wow. Okay.
Once again, I don't know. He's going up a weight class and fighting a guy who obviously has crazy power on his hands. So, although he's short, like Illa
That
and
height difference is a big thing.
Volkanovski, but mind you, Marab's very short as well. So I think that plays into favour for Sean for sure. How good his distance management is and his pace.
We got you in Max. We got you in Max.
Nice.
Not bad.
One for each.
And then we got another Ian Gary.
Breakfast at Tiffany's.
And then we have a shop cut, which I always like hitting shop cuts.
Yeah.
It's a fun one.
Yeah, he's definitely a future champ for sure. Shop cut.
Yeah, I think Sean would look good against Ilya. That length would play such a role, and he's good at moving. So as long as he doesn't get caught, but I like that fight for him.
Yeah, I want to see him stay at bantamweight. To be fair, I want to see him do a bit of a run at bantamweight.
I hit this guy so often. I really need to go and watch his fights. Like I have no idea if he's good or not.
Tatsuro
Taira. Yeah, is he good?
Probably the biggest prospect out of the men's flyweight division at the moment for sure.
Yeah, I gotta go and put some respect on his name.
I'm pretty sure he's undefeated. Someone in the comments can correct me, but I'm rather sure he's undefeated. Got a rated rookie. Here we go. It's a red. It's a
bantamweight. It's a bantamweight.
Bantamweight. Collar Phillips. Nope.
Javid Basharat. And this is 112 out of 199. I think we got 5 more packs to go. Let's see.
We're doing good on the red parallels for this box.
Yeah, I'm surprised with how much we have here. We have a lot. We'll definitely recap at the end, but we have a ton that's coming out of here. This is a good pack to be on the receiving end of. All right. Aljamain. He's fighting Cater, right? So I wonder how that's going to go down.
UFC 300.
Yeah. Stipe. That's going to be the Jones fight later this year. Also someone that we rep. Rob Font. And Jessica Andrade. And Jessica fought Mackenzie 2 fights ago, right? Or 2 fights ago for Mackenzie. Like that's who dropped Mackenzie Dern pretty aggressively multiple times throughout the fight.
She's got another fight coming. I think she's fighting at 300 or something as well. She fights every few months.
She's active. Matt Hughes, one of my favorites from like the OGs that I follow, and I met him as well in downtown LA, like randomly one time. His fist is like the size of my head. He's so big.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's not tall, but his fists are just ridiculous.
Yeah, but he's just I remember, obviously watching him too. He's just a really thick, solid dude. Even though he's not tall, but he's just a real solid.
Just a country boy. Look at that, Mackenzie Dern.
Farmer strength.
Yeah, exactly. For real. Patrick Sabatini, rated rookie. And I know that Mackenzie didn't look that great during her recent outing either. I was in commute before being able to catch that, but I heard that she was getting ragdolled. She fought
Lamos, and Lamos went 5 rounds with the champion. So, I mean, that was a big step up for Mackenzie as well.
Yeah. Adesanya.
Do you think Adesanya's comeback's going to be one of the biggest in history of the sport?
Alex Pereira. I do. I think he's going to come back and do really well. I think people are counting him out a little bit too soon, but I do think he comes back, makes some noise, and calls it, maybe 2-3 more fights? He doesn't have that much longer. Doesn't need to be here much longer. You know what I mean? He has to know when to call it, but I am excited to see that return. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, me too. No, I definitely agree. I think he makes a comeback, and when it does, it's massive. And then, as you said, I think he gets maybe 2, maybe max 3 more fights. But I don't want to see him against Pereira at light heavyweight. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, because that he might get flatlined at that class. Yeah, for sure. Zhang Wei Li, we got our Yuri, Anthony Hernandez, who looked great this past weekend.
He did. I didn't pick him. I picked
you did it?
Kopylov to win that. Yeah.
That was me too, if I'm being honest. But just because I hadn't watched Anthony too much, but he looks solid. And then another Saeed to round out this box. And so to do a recap, let's move your Max and let's move your Sean O'Malley. So we have our Javit rated rookie. This is 112 out of 199. I put the authority of the Octagon as well. Mike Beltran. This isn't numbered, but just a nice card. And then we have our Maria Godinez Gonzalez rated rookie. This is out of 99, 72 out of 99. We got our Peter Yan outside of the border. That's what it should be called. Peter Yan outside of the border.
That's all right. I would be all right with that. At least they would be being straightforward.
167 out of 199. Panini, give me credit or tops. Alexander Volkanovski, 191 out of 199. We have Chidi, rated rookie, auto, 7 out of 49. And then Armin Sarukian, who I know it's hard to bet against Charles Oliveira, but I think he's going to give him a run for his money. And this is 5 out of 79. Really, really nice card here, too.
All right. So I know what you guys and girls can be like, getting into the comments, trying to win cards, trying to get some free stuff. I really want this to be for one of the viewers of my channel, and not only just any specific viewer, but also a viewer who watches my content and enjoys it thoroughly. So therefore, the first person who can comment on this video, what 2 cards of Sean O'Malley am I hoping to get signed at UFC 299 in Miami? I did have a recent mail day video where I talked about 2 cards in that mail day that I'm hoping to get signed by Sean in person at UFC 299. So the first person who can comment which 2 cards they are correctly, they will be winning and receiving those cards from this rip today. And thank you again to Alex. People, if you want to thank Alex, hit the like button and also hit the subscribe button, because this is all thanks to him as well.
I appreciate you, Damian. And yeah, for the folks, this is more also to protect you guys, right? Like we don't want these cards to go to like someone just randomly that got lucky through like a draw that they're not going to mean that much to. But doing it this way is also a great way to give it to somebody that's really going to appreciate all these cards. So I love the idea, Damian. And yeah, let's pivot. So on the next topic, it's really outside of what I'm calling the Octagon, right? Who is Damian? Is there any other passions of yours that, outside of cards and MMA? I think you touched on one that I want to touch on as well. So whether you go here first or after, was it sounds like you trained a little bit of MMA as well. So I want to dabble into that.
Yeah, so first and foremost, I'm just a regular guy. I'm just like everyone else. I'm a blue-collar worker. I work construction since I was 17. So basically half my life now I work construction. So I do things that are completely outside of making content and making videos on YouTube. It's why I think sometimes they don't seem so great, or, I don't think the quality is quite there, but it is something.
We disagree. You always look great.
I'm very, very passionate about the cards, and I hope that comes across in the videos, but I'm also passionate about just making videos. It's something that scratches an itch for me, putting content out there. It's why I've been able to do it for such a long time and so consistently, because I'm doing it partly for myself, along with connecting with the community is probably the other thing that is the other big majority of why I enjoy making content. But outside of that, I enjoy keeping healthy. Keeping healthy and fit is something that I've always been about since I was young as well. So through that, whether it's training at the gym, I have done, I've trained multiple disciplines of martial arts. Started with Muay Thai kickboxing when I was younger, in my early 20s, then pivoted to boxing, then pivoted to Muay Thai, then pivoted to Jiu-Jitsu, and then pivoted to MMA. Now, in full round, the only thing I'm still training now is boxing. It's probably the thing that I enjoyed out of everything. So that's the only one thing that I stick with to this day. But through that, I guess that gave me appreciation for the fighters and watching the fights themselves, and why I can enjoy it to a little bit of a higher level. I do believe that people above the casual level of MMA, they have to have some different level of appreciation for fighting. as an art form itself. But yeah, outside of that, I've got 2 dogs at home. We're very, very lucky to live in an area here in Sweden that's very close to beautiful forests and like reserve areas where we both days of the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, we're out in the forest for an hour or two, walking the dogs around. And I'm very, very big on water sports, love swimming, obviously an Australian young lad growing up. So I was always at the beach, enjoy doing beach activities. And yeah.
That's really cool. What kind of dogs? Because I'm a big dog person. I have 2
I've
schnauzers at home.
got the oldest, he'll be 3 years soon. He's a Finnish Laphound. So obviously it's a pretty unique breed to more Scandinavian area here. But you can basically picture just a smaller version of a husky. That's why I had to actually mute the video before, because when either myself or my partner get home, he howls and he barks out of excitement. He's very, very vocal. And then the other little dog that we have, he's a little bit smaller. He's a Lancashire Heeler, so he looks more like a Jack Russell is the best way to describe him. But
and he bullies the bigger one, I'd imagine.
He tries to, but yeah, he's still too young. So
that's awesome. So right now you still do boxing? That's what you're still training. How many days a week?
Yeah. So twice at the boxing gym, and then just like I like to train. I've always trained with regular weights and things as well. So just at the normal commercial gym 3 days a week as well.
Very cool, man. If this UFC card crew ever gets together, it's going to be a dangerous set of guys. You, Zach, and a few other folks who actually train in the sport and have been doing it for as many years as you guys have. You don't want me. I'm going to be the one picking all the fights and then just stepping back and letting you guys walk ahead. That's really cool.
That would be kind of fun. That would be fun, you know. Get some of the card community guys in a Royal Rumble type setup, a round robin.
I'll make sure to link you up. I'll just be the ref, okay? Awesome. Anything else that you want to leave folks with that maybe they don't know about you? And this is the right platform, because I feel like, you on your channel, you never want to deviate too far away from what the topic is, because it might just not flow well. But here we have the ability to kind of, tap on other doors. Is there anything else that we wouldn't know about you that's, worth sharing here?
Not really that I can think of to top of mind. The only thing I would like to do is just express a lot of gratitude to everyone in the community, in general, people who I talk with. I'm very, very fortunate to be able to communicate with people. Not only yourself, I've talked about the magic of through UFC cards and UFC community, getting together with people like yourself, like-minded people who not only enjoy MMA but also appreciate the cards themselves. And I think for a lot of us who collect cards, it's one of those things that we might not have many people in our normal day-to-day life who we can sort of share this passion with. So it's always very special to, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on YouTube, to connect with other people who also feel the joy that we have about these silly little things that we put up on our wall. So I just would like to take this time to just appreciate everyone who has supported me from the day one and has stuck through, comments on my videos, message me on Instagram, and just takes the time out of their own day to jump on videos with me as well. It's always a very, very special thing. It's always something that I never take too lightly. So that's why I want to thank you as well, Alex. And I wish you all the best in your journey moving forward. I think you're gonna do really great things for the UFC community for sure.
I appreciate that, Damian, and your message is very genuine and sincere, and we can feel that. So I think there's no better place than to wrap it up. But thank you again for sitting down, with me. And I look forward to seeing what folks think about these hits, about, what you've shared outside of the Octagon. And I'm sure we're going to stay in touch, do a lot more of this, more to come. So to folks at home, if you like the content, make sure to subscribe, like the video, follow both of us across all our socials. We'll be sure to post that here on the screen now. Until next time, this has been Doers Taking Breaks. Peace out.